to break. Frames are level to each.
Antonio, having levelled at 2 frames all, breaks on the 5th frame. This match, best of 13 frames, so the first player to 7 will win the Winfield Masters Trophy. And the gentleman who's just joined me in the commentary box, who certainly knows all about pressure, Jack Newton.
Thank you, Rex. This is really must be a pretty vital frame, this one, I would think, wouldn't it? At this stage with 2 all and...
Yes, of course, every frame makes 2 difference, Jack, and John Campbell would have loved to have won that game and got 2 in front.
Yes, both players look to be just struggling a little bit today, having played so beautifully yesterday. And is that normal? You generally find that after playing sensational like that, there's a bit of a relapse the next day? Or?
Yes, it's surprising, really, that you play a game, you're playing so well, and you feel so confidently at times that you're coming into the next session, even on the same day. And I suppose really like in your game, you can play brilliantly one day, and for no reason at all, you can't do it the next day.
Rick, something I wanted to ask you was that how far in advance are these fellows planning their shots? I mean, do they look 1 or 2 balls down the track? Or?
Well, actually looking 3 shots ahead. Tony Mio will be now playing this red in such a way to get on a colour so that he can get back onto another red. So he is specifically thinking of getting in a position on that colour to play the next colour and get back onto that red. So that's really, I suppose, 3 shots ahead is what we're doing all the time. Well, a lot of people say that snooker is the most difficult game in the world, Jack, but if you saw me play golf, you'd realise that, well, I think that golf is the most difficult game in the world.
Yes, it's interesting you say that, Rex. I think golf is the most difficult, but I rate snooker very much up with golf in difficulty because there's a lot more pressure. I think the other thing is that the balls are stationary. I think that's the big difference between golf and snooker and most other sports.
Yes, indeed. It's the only really 2 sports that you strike a stationary ball. And I think being a stationary ball, that gives the player a chance to get tense, get nervous. There's no reflex action in either game. And I think that's why there's so much pressure in both games.
Do the players actually consciously try and keep the tension out of their hands, Rex? I mean, in golf, when you tighten up, normally most players tend to grip the club more tightly. Is that the same in snooker?
Yes, I feel sure it is, because I know I do myself. I keep a rubber ball in my billiards room, and I squeeze it every day before I start playing. And as you know, creating tension like that relaxes the muscles. And I do it with the butt of my cue, actually, when I'm playing, because I find myself at times, I think, I don't realise, and all of a sudden I realise I'm gripping the cue too hard. So I suppose other players are the same. And of course, we always think it's happening to ourselves and not to anyone else, but of course, everybody's going through the same problems. Well, this has been a terrific tournament, and have you watched much of this week, Jack?
Yes, I have. I've been very interested, and as I said earlier, I think probably I'm, like most other Australians, in automatically thinking of Eddie Charlton in relation to Australian snooker, and I think this young fellow certainly must have a big future. He looks to have handled himself very well under pressure very well, hasn't he, this week?
He certainly has, yes. John Campbell is a very good player, still a young man, plays the game very well. And I think it really, Australian snooker needs a few more really good players to emerge. There are some very good players in this country, and I think if they come over to the UK and play in the really sort of hard, tough match play that we've got over there in our tournaments, a few more players will emerge.
44.
Well, Tony Mio looks to be playing very well this frame, and got a nice break here, going at 44 so far, and would have to be the favourite to win this frame now, Rex.
Yes, he's got to get those the bunch of reds open, and this time he's got an angle to just slip round the back of the black, having to use the extension to his cue, stretch over to get this, but he'll try and just go around the back of the black, leave an angle on the black to try and just disturb the bunch of reds with his next shot. So he'll be thinking that far ahead. And he's made the angle. He'll be playing to come off the cushion now.
52.
To try and get into the reds. They're pretty tightly bunched, and he hasn't got a terribly big target to hit. He's just managed to push one out towards the centre pocket, which he can pot. Hasn't gone far enough with that. Wanted to go past the blue just to stun down onto the red to the left of the bunch of reds. Just looking to see if there's any plants about, but we'll have to send the cue ball now. I would think through bulk. He'll probably send the cue ball between the brown and green, and then bring it off the side cushion to back onto that red. Got a little bit too much under the cue ball and made contact with the brown.
65.
A nice 65 break here from Tony Mio.
That's a funny little idiosyncrasy he has there with his finger, isn't it? It's a bit like a golfer waggling the club or hitching his trousers like Arnold Palmer used to do.
Yes, and he probably doesn't even realise he's doing it, Jack.
Yeah.
One or two of the players do that, but no one quite as noticeably as Tony Mio.
You really have to have quite an imagination, I would think, to play this game well, Rex, wouldn't you?
Yes, I think some players really have got more imagination than others, you know. I suppose that is in any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a tremendous shot. Yes,
I think that's the big difference between mugs like me and the great players like yourself. So, making a red when they get on the colour. Most of us are just trying to get a red in any colour next.
Well, it's the same, I suppose, in anything. It's not only sport, but in life. People are natural at whatever they do well. This really has been a fine break here from Tony Mio. Now up to 81. He's got to play over the top of the other balls now at this red to the centre.
82.
This time he'll go through the gap between the yellow and green and come back through that gap.
Well, this is more like the snooker they were both playing earlier in the week, Rex.
Yes, indeed. It's starting to flow a little bit now. Possible 130 on the table, so John Campbell's break of 132 will still be intact no matter what happens.
94.
So the fifth under to the series coming up here. So you came into the commentary box just at the right time, Jack.
How you do?
This is super stuff, isn't it?
101.
Because these players, Rex, they wouldn't be thinking about how many they're making, would they? They'd be just concentrating on each shot as it comes.
Yes, the important thing is always winning the frame. A player
107.
will never take a risk in making a big break until the frame is won.
109. 112.
Well, he can make a break 134, so I missed the scores again. So
116.
the break, John Campbell's break, is in jeopardy.
121.
And looks as though it's in great danger now. Tremendous break this has been. So what about this for a $3,000 shot? Tremendous 134 break there from Tony Neo, which is the highest break in the history of this tournament, and he now leads by 3 frames to 2.